Hey viewers, this is Sinister here with another episode of Tekken for Thought. I'm going to talk about an annoying subject this time, and that's handling wall pressure. Being against the wall sucks. Your movement is limited, the options you have are reduced, your opponent has extra options of wall splats or tech setups, certain characters of certain sizes like the bears or Marek for example, they have a harder time moving around due to their size. It's a situation in the game that can be difficult to deal with. Now I have a few ideas that can help keep your sanity in dealing with that position, so let's get to it. For starters, the first thing you have to do is not panic. I know it can be a tight spot, but panicking makes you lose your train of thought. You don't need to freeze up when the heat is on. However, you also don't want to just do anything to get your opponent off of you. Be patient and pay attention to the options your opponent has. With that being said, when you're near the wall or if your back is against the wall, we have to make a decision of whether they're going to go for the low, the mid, or the throw mainly. They can do some other stuff, but that's the main gimmick. When making that choice, the range between you and your opponent is a factor. If your opponent is right up on you, then you gotta hold the first mix-up. However, if there's a bit of a distance between you and your opponent, the mix-up becomes less scary. Also, your opponent may be giving you a clue as to what they want to set up. An opponent with a bit of distance from you near the wall may be looking for a wall splat so they can float you back into the wall for more damage. Even the moves that give a wall bounce benefit better when there's some distance between your opponent and yourself. So let's look at Fakaram for example. Now at the wall, Fakaram has some good shenanigans. As far as like the command grab, the guard crush, the whole nine. But most Fakaram players, even against the wall, they still like to hover around this distance. And the reason being is, certain pokes still hit. Both kicks still hit from that range, still combo. You still had jet kick that will reach, even if they're not nowhere near you. Good old Namco. Standing 3 still connects. Down 4-1 kind of connects at a certain range. So Fakaram can still kind of hang around, but at this range, a lot of his lows become minute as far as his mix-up. Now, okay, they might can reach with down 4 depending on the range, but that's -5 on hit. Down back 4 may reach, but you can react to it. Down 4-1 will reach, but it's -1 on hit. So most of the time in this situation, they're gonna pretty much hang around here. So you're able to at least to try to sidestep block, to try to avoid a homing move, and then kind of try to get your turn back or get away from the wall. Now, as I mentioned about the lows, low mix-up kind of being reduced, let's look at the character that up close, the lows are annoying, but at that range, they're not a problem at all. I'm going to pick Steve Fox this time around because at point-blank range at the wall, Steve Fox is ugly. He has the different throw mix-ups, the flicker shenanigans, peekaboo, transitions, lows, power wall splats, the whole nine. Very good wall game. As soon as this loads up. So like I said, you have the jab series, you have flicker, you have peekaboo setups, you have down back 3-2 that knocks over, you have a wall push, guaranteed damage, you have a wall splat, and another slightly slower one. So there's a lot to digest with Steve against the wall at range 0 slash range 1. Now once he dives out of that range a little bit, now here's where the mix-up shouldn't be scary to you, or as scary, because down back 3 doesn't connect. You have to be really close for down back 3 to even touch your toe. Now you can do down 1, but down 1 is neutral on hit. They can do down 2-1, but they're going to go into duck cancel to make it safe, and it's -4 when you duck cancel. So it's your turn again. Now the same concept, if they're hanging out here also, they might be looking for that wall splat or just a whiff punch. So also keep that in mind. Some characters, if they don't have very strong lows and they're hanging around that part of the wall, not saying neglect it, but it becomes easier for you to deal with their wall pressure. Now another thought to keep in mind is dealing with throw breaks. A lot of throws in the game, real quick, that wall splat or throw you against the wall, a lot of them are both punch breaks. Just think about it. You have Kazuya, Hayashi, Devil-Jin, the headbutts. You have Kazumi's down for both punches. You have King's up both punches, the variation where he throws them forward. You have the Williams where they throw you over for wall splat. Or not, I mean not wall splat, but just against the wall. You have a bunch of different throws, even Jack. Now that's not saying just mash both punches, but just a thought as far as with that against the wall, we're dealing with throw breaks when your back is against the wall. Now, in the unfortunate event you end up on the ground at the wall after a combo or hit, be careful how you get up. Now, some character knowledge will be needed when deciding how to get up, because some characters you can just lay on the ground and just take the hit. You know, you don't really want to tech on certain characters like Steve Fox. If I knock you down to the ground, you know, back two is what I can, you know, what I get if I hit you on the ground. You know, or I can go for down back two, but you can get up and block that if you tech. There's not a lot of fear as far as staying on the ground with Steve. But if you have a character like Marduk, for example, then that 50-50 becomes a harsh reality. Because if you guess wrong on a tech, you can eat nasty mix-ups. If you stay there, you run the risk of eating a hit on the ground or getting ground grabbed. So let's go into this. Let's say if you tech after certain hits on the wall with Marduk. Marduk can tackle you. Now that tackle is the spear tackle. Near the wall, it becomes that because of the tech state that you're in. So the spear tackle can be broken, but it's a much tighter window to break it. Now, let's say if you don't get up immediately against Marduk, and you don't want to eat that mix-up, now you run a chance of being ground grabbed and to more mix-ups. So similar aspect is that if you do tech, you know, be ready to break that grab. Also, they may go for power lows. You also have some characters that, Negan for example, Negan's ground game isn't really that good, but you're gonna want to get up against that character, because if not, you're gonna eat a whole bunch of bat here, bat there, bat everywhere. Now wall pressure is a pain in the behind to deal with. The options and creative setups that a whole bunch of characters have can even get the best player. You have all kind of resets and all kind of side turn setups, but you know, keeping calm, paying attention, and making better responses can reduce the pressure that you're facing. And on that note, that wraps up this brief session. I'm Click Sinister. You know, hit a like and subscribe for me, and I appreciate you taking the time out to watch me. Thank you.